Welcome back to part 2 of this series where I try to remake the Air Raid minigame from the Fusion Frenzy in Xbox Classic. If you haven't seen part 1 of this series, then check it out. Otherwise, let's get started. So there are 4 different things that I still need to figure out. 1. Create a bomb that goes boom. 2. Punch other players because punching is cool. 3. Create more types of coins and make them go brrr. And lastly, show which player has won the game and brought home that chicken dinner. But before we start adding new features, I realized that the game still kinda looks like crap, so let's try to fix that. While trying to come up with an idea on how to make the game look better, I settled on a construction site of a high-rise building since I figured it would look cool and it would be pretty easy to model using Blender. And since playing on top of high-rise buildings can be dangerous, I figured I would model a simple construction fence that can act as a wall and prevent players from being able to fall off the top of the building. I then imported the 2 models into Unity and put together a new level for the game. Lastly, I made the game look a little better and changed the default skybox with a custom shader that I created following some tutorials. And now we have a level that looks much better than my previous one. To create the bomb, I started by creating a simple 3D model in Blender and importing it into Unity. To give the bomb some life, I created the flame color using the Unity's particle system that would change color based on how many seconds left before it explodes. Once the timer runs out, the bomb would create a second particle that shows the actual explosion. Lastly, I ended up writing some code that would stun the player if the bomb happens to be near him when it explodes. Next, I added the ability to punch other players and stun them. To do that, I would cast a ray in the front of the player to see if there's anyone in front of them and trigger the same logic as when the bomb explodes to hurt the player. Next, I wanted to create additional coins. Doing that turned out to be super simple since I just needed to create a new coin prefab and add it to the game to spawn it just like the previous coin. What turned out to be a little more challenging for me was creating the indicator that shows the number of points you receive when collecting the coin. For that, I used Text Mesh Pro and I added to the 3D world and add some animations that would make the text get bigger as it goes into the air. Lastly, I just needed to zoom in on the player that won. It turned out to be pretty easy to do using Cinemachine. I added a camera for each player that would turn on when the player wins. I also did some minor polishing and added a bit of sound to the game, and this is what it looks like.
Round 2, fight!
I am really happy how this project turned out. What I thought would be a simple game ended up being more challenging than what I was originally expecting. If you enjoyed the video, then hit that like button and I will see you in the next one.